Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. For those who are new, welcome to Anything and Everything with Anita. Today, on a more serious note, I want to discuss anxiety. Now, I don't mean anxiety that you have when you have to give a presentation or that nervousness that you feel when you're going on a first date. I'm talking about anxiety that you have every single day. Anxiety that might be from an anxiety disorder, anxiety that might cause anxiety attacks, panic attacks. I'm talking about anxiety that might be paired with OCD or claustrophobia. That type of anxiety that you have to deal with every single day. So, if you're dealing with this type of anxiety, then you're in the right place. I'm going to discuss different tips and tricks I have on how to deal with anxiety as a whole and how to deal with anxiety when it strikes. So let's get started. So before I begin, I feel like I need to put into context why I am in any position to offer any tips on how to deal with anxiety. And I think I should start with saying that I deal with anxiety every single day. I've had an anxiety disorder for many years, and when I say that, I mean general anxiety. I also have a lot of claustrophobia that I deal with in specific areas like being in a car or being in a meeting room. And to add to all of that, I have a lot of anxiety that has to deal with my stomach and just anything to do with, having to go to the washroom or having to be stuck somewhere and not having access to the washroom. And I'm coming out and I'm being completely transparent with that because I know that a lot of people have the same anxiety as me, not everything together, but they might have one out of the three. And I have been dealing with this anxiety for a very long time, since I was a teenager up until now my late 20s. I wouldn't say I was an overall anxious kid growing up, but I would say that a few environmental influences slowly caused this anxiety to occur late in my teens. And it's probably by some trigger instances, sometimes at school, sometimes at work, sometimes at home, and it slowly developed into what was like the longest time of my life, where I had fears to do the simplest things that I could have done before, like get in a car and go to work, go to school, be in a relationship, do really simple things like go for a walk. I was at a point in my life where I didn't want to leave the house, and it was really hard for me to vocalize that to others, and it did cause a lot of tension. But I feel like if I saw a video like the one I'm going to make today, it would have been very helpful for me to help get over that and get over it quicker. Today, I'm at a point in my life where I know how to tackle my anxiety. I still do get panic attacks every once in a while. It is very rare, but I do still get them. And I feel like because I have applied a lot of the tips as a whole and individually that I'm going to discuss today, I've been able to live a very normal, happy life. And it's been like that for a while. And I'm very happy to say that I'm able to do this video today and come out and be confident enough to discuss what I'm going to discuss. And I feel like I want that for you. I genuinely want that for you. So let's get into it. So there's a few things that I feel like I want you to know before we talk about all these tips and tricks on how to deal with anxiety. And the first thing is you are not alone. I feel like I wish I would have heard this when I was younger. Anxiety is not something that many people like to talk about. It's not something that a lot of people feel like is serious enough to talk about. And I think that's shameful because a lot of people deal with it and a lot of people are ashamed of it, especially those who don't have people around them that show any signs of anxiety. They feel more isolated and they feel like they don't really have anything in common with the people that are around them. So the first point that I want to make is that you're not alone. There are so many people dealing with it, men and women, and you should not feel like you're going to be judged if you say that you have anxiety. If you just come out and say it and stop trying to hide it, you would be surprised with how many people around you would equally say, I feel the same way. Or other people will actually say, I understand, or thank you for telling me. This explains a lot. You never know. So I feel like the second you absorb the fact that you're not alone and that there are many people around you that feel the same way you do, it's one step closer to getting better. The next point that I want to make, just to coincide with what I just said, is you need to try and view yourself as normal and stop thinking that you're abnormal just because you have an anxiety disorder or you deal with high levels of anxiety daily. For the longest time, I thought I was a complete weirdo. I felt weird. I felt abnormal. I thought that because I was unable to do specific things that I was less of a person and that I was ashamed. And I should not have felt that way. There's nothing shameful about having anxiety. It is a normal feeling. Just because you have higher levels of it than other people does not make you any less than others. And I can just tell you right now, in my experience, some of the strongest people that I know have anxiety and deal with anxiety daily. So you are not weak because you have anxiety. You are not less of a person. You're not less capable. You just have limits, and that's totally fine because everybody has limits. And the last thing that I want to say is that once you get over all of these little obstacles about being able to vocalize your anxiety, being able to know that you're not alone, being able to be okay with speaking about it and knowing that nobody's going to judge you, you will finally reach the stage where you're going to be able to vocalize your own limits. And that, I'm going to tell you, is extremely liberating. Once you're able to tell yourself, I could do this, this, and this, and I draw the line at this, it's so liberating. You're going to feel like you have a grasp on your anxiety and a control that you never had before. You don't have to deal with people forcing you into a situation unknowingly that you're not going to feel comfortable in. So once you draw your limits and you vocalize how you feel, your life is going to be a lot easier to live. So now I want to discuss some on-the-spot tips that are great should you have any anxiety attacks, or oncoming panic attacks. These help me. They have helped me. I don't still use all of them because I feel like anxiety is constantly evolving and you always need to try and keep up with it and come up with something new to try and deal with it given every phase of your life. But I'm going to give you a good list that I used to use and some that I still use to help calm my anxiety down and just prevent that anxiety attack from starting or happening in a really inconvenient place or environment that I might be in, such as work, a meeting, the dentist office, the hairdresser, really anything, the gym, hanging out with your friends. Here are my tips. Let's get started. So my first tip, and I feel like we don't do it enough because we're ashamed, we're embarrassed. You need to raise your voice, okay? You need to be okay with saying, I am not feeling well. I need to step out. I need some space. Hold on, we gotta stop the car. There's nothing wrong with vocalizing how you feel. If you really feel like you're gonna have an anxiety attack, or if you really feel like you can't be where you are right now, vocalize it. Say it. Don't be afraid to raise your voice. Those around you will understand. And if they don't, who cares? It doesn't matter. You don't need to have to put yourself in a situation where you're feeling like you're uneasy, you can't breathe, you're sweaty, you're hot, and you need to stick there and be there and stay in it. You have a choice in life, and one of your choices is to raise your voice. The second tip I find that's extremely helpful for me back when I used to use this, and now it kind of switched out to something else. But anyway, My tip is to chew gum. And I know it sounds really funny, but it used to work for me. Every single time I would go out and I feel like I would be putting myself in a position where I might feel anxious, I would make sure that I had a pack of gum with me. And if ever I started feeling a little anxiety coming, the back of my neck getting hot, getting a little bit paranoid, I would pop a gum and my anxiety would just deflate completely. Don't ask me why that worked, but I felt like I would carry a lot of anxiety and nervousness in my jaw and in my teeth. And I feel like chewing gum really would just help relieve all of that. And it used to work. It worked for a good year or two, and I'm really happy. So I hope that that tip could help you should you feel all that nervousness in your jaw like I used to. Another thing I used to do, and I still do to this day, is carry around Imodium, Pepto-Bismol, or Advil with me everywhere I go. I would have just a little bit in my purse just in case. Guys could do this too. You guys, if you have a girlfriend or if you're on your own, bring a little bit in a little Kleenex, put it in your pocket if this helps you. I have a lot of anxious stomach, so I feel that I get a lot of anxiety nowadays in my tummy, and I feel like I might have to just run to the washroom somewhere. And I know that a lot of people have this very same anxiety. So for me, knowing that I have an Advil with me or an Imodium or Pepto-Bismol or whatever to help calm even Gravol works, just to help calm my tummy down, the fact that I have it with me and I didn't forget it at home calms me completely. I know that I could just take one and I'm good. So that's something else that maybe might work for you. The next tip that I have is to simply get some air, okay? A lot of the times you feel kind of choked up when you have anxiety. The air that's in the room of where you are, if you're able to step out of it, go ahead and do so. If you're able to go outside and get some fresh air or stand by a window, do that. That's going to help you really just calm it down. Just change the air around you and just calm that anxiety down. Calm the temperature down, really bring down your temperature and release all that heat and that tension that you have in your neck. The next tip is distract yourself. So this coincides with the whole hobbies thing. If you know what easily distracts you, go ahead and do that. If you're not in a meeting at work or you're somewhere where you need to really, not really pay attention, or you're able to look down at your phone or look at a specific video, go ahead and do that. That really helps calm anxiety. This is probably a really logical thing or logical tip, but I figured I would just mention it because distracting yourself helps distract your thought process, which will then help relieve your anxiety. My next tip is to turn to natural remedies. Now, for Canadians, you guys have access to CBD oil. I feel like CBD oil has been able to help me calm down during the night. The thing with CBD oil is that it's not fast acting. It takes a couple hours to start just penetrating the body and really calming everything down. If you guys have any questions in regards to CBD oil usage, you could drop me a comment below or DM me on Instagram, whatever works. I will answer you the best that I can. But I know that some people have been using CBD oil to calm down and just help relieve their anxiety as a whole. So if you feel like you have somewhere you gotta go in a few hours and you feel like you might be feeling anxious today, go ahead and take some. And if it works for you, then that's great. Another natural remedy that I use that really helps me nowadays is peppermint oil. I grow peppermint leaves in my backyard in my garden every summer, and then at the end of the summer I harvest them, I break them all up, and I make my own peppermint essential oil. You could buy this online. They have them on Amazon. You could get them at Costco. Peppermint oil is really great for relief of anxiety and just de-stressing the body. I usually put it on my forehead. I'll start to rub it near my temples, all over the front of my forehead, and it really just cools the body temperature down and it really just relaxes your forehead. You could actually feel the sensation on your head. So peppermint oil is a really great way to help relieve anxiety, either at night before you have to go to sleep or during the day. If you have a little amber bottle with you that you could carry with you, you could put a little bit on your head and it'll just calm you down. There are many different natural remedies if you look online that can help you out, different plant extracts. You need to find what works for you, but don't be afraid to experiment and see what helps. The last tip that I have that's been the most beneficial for me over the years, that I still use today and I feel like would be the best for you to start implementing right now, is when you're having an anxiety attack or you're starting to feel anxious in any way, shape, or form. The second you feel that anxiety, don't be scared. You need to accept it and you need to work with it. That's just the number one thing I could recommend to do, to start working on. And it's not easy. It's not easy. The second you have that fight or flight response, to just be like, okay, yeah, sure, come on. But really, honestly, you need to work on that. And that's what's going to help you get through it all. The second you tackle your anxiety head on is when you're going to be able to slowly go over it and live with it. And what I mean by that is, you need to accept the feeling as it comes and embrace it. It's a part of you. It's a section of you, but it's not you. And the more you believe that, the easier you'll be able to get out and do everything that you used to be able to do and live your life like everyone else. The second you tell yourself, this is just anxiety, there's nothing it could do to hurt me, I'm going to accept it, let it be, let it do what it wants to do. If it wants to make me sweat for a few seconds, let it do that. If it wants to make me feel shivers, let it do that. If it wants to get me nauseated for a few seconds, let it do that. It'll pass. So that's my tip. Accept your anxiety as it comes, embrace it, don't fear it, and be okay with it. And you'll see, it's going to stop fighting you. It's just going to leave it be. It's going to see that it's not getting any response from you and you're not feeding it. So it'll just go to bay. It'll leave you alone, literally. I promise you it'll happen. And it's not easy. It's really not easy. It took me a while to learn how to do that. But you will learn. The more you try, you will learn. If it comes to having to write it on your wrist to remind you, go ahead and do that. If you have to write a couple letters on your wrist, just every time you start feeling it, you look at it, it reminds you to accept your anxiety, to feel for it, to be okay with it, you're gonna be fine, then do that. Do what helps you. And like I said, don't be afraid to raise your voice and say that's how you're feeling. Sometimes just saying it out loud helps. Sometimes just saying, I don't feel good, I feel anxious, is fine, and it will help you. Whew, that was a lot. I hope I went over everything that I needed to go over, because honestly, my head is exploding and I just feel like I want everybody to just know these tips and know these tricks and know that you're gonna be fine, you're gonna be okay, and you're not alone. And it's okay to live with this day to day. If it's part of your life, cool, it's part of your life. Don't give it any more attention than that. That's how I've been dealing with it. That's how I've been able to get over it and deal with it every single day and not let it control me, not let it control my relationships, not let it control my abilities, and not let it control who I am as a person. Anxiety is a part of me, but it is not me and it does not define me, and it won't define you. Alrighty guys, if you've gotten this far into the video, thank you so much for listening to my blabber about anxiety and all my tips that I have for you. You might know some of them already and some might have been new to you. I hope that what I said was helpful, and I really do hope that you don't feel shy to reach out to me. If you have any questions or you have an experience that you'd like to share with me, I'm all ears. I'm honestly here to listen, and I want you to know that you're not alone. I hope everybody stays safe, and I really hope and pray that during this time you could embrace your strength to go forward every single day and really come out of this a stronger and healthier person. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching.